Good evening and welcome to the final round of the Radical Race Series in the first season of 2026. We are at the combined version of Monza, or the historic version of Monza if you want rather call it. This layout last being used back in 1965. Of course, times have changed since then. I am Tom Cairns in the commentary position with James Parfitt alongside me. We've got a 60-minute endurance event here with a mandatory pit stop included. It's going to be different to the usual format where we've had two races, one being a sprint and the other being a feature. We're into the last few minutes of qualifying with Simon Edwards top of the time pages ahead of George Gonzaga. As far as the championship is concerned, in the SR10s, Simon Edwards, well, he's already wrapped up the championship mathematically anyway, over Phil Glover, who could wrap up second place in the Radical SR10 class. So at least that's something for him to be fighting with against Bruno Vitorino and James Berry. Heinz Braun in fifth place, followed by Patricio Gomez da Silva, had George Gonzaga. Mehmet Akers, Christoph Lipp, and Robert Williams ran up the top 10 in that. In the SR8s, we've got the two shootskers of Alex and Christian at the top. Alex, 46 points clear, so it's going to take an almighty miracle, really, for Christian to leapfrog him to take the SR8 title there. Rob Woodward in third place, a good margin over Marcus Lang. Stefan Merz in fifth place, followed by Steve Webb. We've got Chris Soutis, Mike Bousson, Tobias Treacle, and Graham Matthews rounding out the top 10. Let's bring James Parfitt into the booth and go word from him before this 60-minute endurance race gets underway. JP, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well, dear sir. I'm looking forward to this one. This is what I think this might be the first time. No, this can't be the first time. Maybe it's the first time actually. I've commentated on the combined GP and oval layout, so I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys get on that one and seeing how they do. As we just watched Stefan. Oh, spin twice. Look at that. Demonstrating how not to take turn one there for Stefan. Big difference between SR8s and SR10s here this evening as well. 2 minutes 37 for Simon Edwards, and you can see the lead in SR8 Christian Schutzka, 2 minutes 42, so a good 5 seconds slower than these guys as well. We will have more up-to-dates on drop rounds and the point system. Not sure if they're going to run double points because it's the endurance. I'm finding that out as we speak, so we're going to find out very shortly on that one. Looking forward to seeing how this one goes. Big draft fest. That's all I can say on that. Big draft fest.
Yeah, so they are using the chicanes through because it is the combined layout, not the historic version around here at Monza that these drivers are going through. We're looking at Christian Sutska, who's going through the oval part of the course. You don't really need to turn through this because the banking helps that. He seems to have slowed down actually, so I don't know whether he's just backed out of that last run. I think they've got like maybe a maximum number of laps they can do in these in this qualifying session before the race does get underway, and it is Simon Edwards who's at the top of the timing pages in the SR10s. Now the SR10s are in silver and the SR8s are in gold, and it's no surprise actually to see the SR10s at the top because of the characteristics of the circuit with the straight line speed ever so paramount around here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things. The SR10 is going to be full bore out in front, I think, and basically gone and clear. So we'll keep an eye out and see how this one goes. Grid's going to be coming up on your screen as it is the end of the session. So let's see how these all get on. I have just found out that it is double points per class. So I believe that's going to be 80 points I think they've got to deal with here as well. And we will be able to bring you more information in regards to that one. Alexander Schutzka is out in front of the whole thing when you add the points. I'm just going to send you the link, Tom, for you to have a look at, and you'll get a better idea of the point system. I believe that the drop rounds have been applied on that one. So there we go. Welcome in if you are here on chat. Don't forget to say hello and let us know what's going to happen, and if you think that who's going to take what, because it's going to be very interesting indeed. But we'll bring you up the grid as soon as we got it very shortly. Stand-ins have kind of jumped around a little bit from what we had earlier on. Schutzka's out in front of 711 there, Tom, with Simon Edwards on 676. So what's that? 40... What is that? 35 points difference, I believe, between Schutzka and Edwards.
Yeah, and was there a clarification on the drop rounds as well that you mentioned there, JP?
I'm just trying to get clarification of whether or not they can drop this round.
I wouldn't have thought they would drop this round because it is the last one of the season.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It would have to be.
Yeah, I would have thought it'd be one of the other rounds for which the drop score would be applied. Whatever the worst score in those first 9 rounds would be for each driver. But like you say, it is 80 points if it is double points with it being an endurance one for each class. 1 point difference between each race position normally, so it'll be 2 point difference. So it's essentially an Abu double of 2014 for those of you who are into Formula One, which will be coming up later this weekend, of course, the start of the new Formula One season, which a lot of us can't wait. But the Radical Race Series is around as we speak, and we are looking forward to a brilliant finale here at Monza, and we, of course, cannot wait. So it'll be 80 points for a win, 78 for second, 76 for third. So it's going to be a lottery. It's kind of like this Jeopardy type round where if you make one mistake, it could make all the difference, and it could end up just propelling the standings left, right, and centre.
Yeah, absolutely. Grid is on your screen, dear sir.
Yes, so Simon Edwards is on pole position ahead of George Gonzaga, with Phil Glover in third place ahead of Ollie Gullickson, when it's Robert Nobles and Patricio Gomez in fifth and sixth. Heinz Braun and Kevin Harwood are in seventh and eighth, followed by the two Schutskers of Christian, who is ahead of Alex. Jamie Bird and Mike Bousson are on row 6, ahead of Chris Sutis and Steve Webb. And then we've got Stefan Millis and Graham Matthews on the 8th row. At the back on his own is Andreas Lehnen, who didn't set a representative time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Lehnen's going to race. He didn't set a time in practice either. I've also just found out from George, who's been messaging me frantically because I've been asking him questions, they can drop this round, so that's going to be interesting. And a pace car out on the racetrack as well.
Which is understandable because with the nature of the first part, which goes through the oval, they want to be gathering up to speed before they go through there because, well, they want to be going quick as they can through that part because it only just comes around as they cross over the line to begin the lap. So working out who could drop what, Alex Schusker's worst score so far this season has been a total of 76, which was in round 7 at Charlotte Roval. So it's going to take an almighty miracle for Simon Edwards to overcome it, I think, JP, with this.
Yeah, this is one of the things that that confuses me. I do not like drop scores. And I especially don't like them on the final race of the season because we can't actually give you the scores until after the race is done, once the drop scores have been all worked out. So it's going to really kind of mix it up here without an abacus because I'm old and that's what I need. I think it's going to be very, very tough to distinguish who's going to actually walk away with a championship. But yeah, if Alex wins his class, then I believe Simon has to win as well, but then I think Simon will still not have enough points to overturn Alex, if that's remotely right, I believe.
Yeah, well, there are other points which drivers can get. So there's actually 1 point for pole position, which went to Simon Edwards. You can get a point for the fastest lap as well. That will probably double to 2, and I would imagine, although the pole position point will probably stay as 1.
Yeah.
1 point for most laps led, which will probably be increased to 2 as well. And I'd imagine there'll be 2 points for anyone that finishes with 0 incidents.
It's going to get interesting, Tom, anyway. How's your maths?
Yeah. Well, better than yours. I can safely say that.
That doesn't... Ouch! Tom Cairns!
You said a long time ago your maths wasn't that great.
No, it's not, dude. Unless I've got an abacus or something in front of me, it's not. But yeah, it's not the point. You're not supposed to mention everybody that I can't do maths at my gentle, tender age of 21 times a couple. How rude.
You're probably better at science. I wasn't very good at science, so you may be better at science than I am.
Well,
so
it's better if you speak to the missus. I have no idea about that either. So, you know what I mean? This is going to be very fun. We have got a very different form of grid. We've got a split grid at the moment. SR10s are at the front. SR8s are holding back. I would have liked to have seen them go together because I think the 8s might have been able to hold on to the 10s with the draft, but race is starting.
Yeah, and the lights are at red. And we are good to go now. And it's Simon Edwards who has got George Gonzaga to his left-hand side before Gonzaga has to tuck back in. You just see the barrier just closing in there, which I think prompted Gonzaga to just stay in the toe of Edwards, which is absolutely fine. But the endurance event is underway. Mandatory pit stop included in this one. But Gonzaga is just staying in. So there's no rush at this stage because there's going to be so many times where they're just going to want to stay in the toe all the way through. It's essentially a game of chess because you don't want to be the leader at this point. In the event, So I think Gonzaga's happy to just sit back for now, providing he doesn't trip over anyone. We've got Nobles dropping back a couple of positions at the expense of Heinz Braun and Ollie Gullickson. So he's down a couple of positions there. In the SR8s, Christian Schuster is still ahead of Alex as we speak. You can just see nose to tail between the pair of them. Christian is in the blue and orange SR8, and Alex is in the blue. What colour is it on the nose?
Blue and orange for Christian, and blue and white for Alex.
There we go. So, and I think someone else has got blue and green. I think that might be Marcus Lang who's carrying that, who is not around this evening, incidentally. But Ollie Gullickson has caught up in an incident that must be over at the Retophilia chicane. Has he got the power down too soon out of there? We'll see what exactly he'd been up to.
He did not. This is on his run down into turn number 1. Gullickson's going to go in deep, I think. Oh, yep.
Ooh, yeah.
Went in and missed the chicane.
Yep. Too late on the brakes was Ollie Gullickson, but at least he's not tripped over anyone as a consequence. There he is. Look, he's now back in the action, believe it or not. You can just see Phil Glover running in 6th position, fighting with Patricio Gomez. But further back, we're looking at Steve Webb, who I think has had a little bit of drama at the Della Roggia.
Oh, Chris
It just came too close. Yeah,
Chris Sittis, also him and Stefan Mellis look like they may have had some drama together. I've got a funny feeling this is the back end of Steve Webb who's going to come. There he is, the Orange Army racing machine. Bang into Zutis. What did Mellis do? Not far behind that. Oh, had nowhere to go. Just unfortunately straight into the side there. Edwards still out in front. Gonzaga still tucked in behind. Heinz Braun in behind that. Kevin Harwood and Ollie Gullickson are having a nice little bit of a ding-dong. Then we've got Christian Schutzke, Jamie Bird, Alex Buson. They're still fighting out at the same time here as well. I think this isn't going to really settle down until the second half of the race. The problem is there's going to be so much happening throughout this race. It's going to be very, very difficult to try and catch every kind of little thing because of the draft and the way it's going to work. It's going to bring it's going to keep them all very together. Steve Webb has got a meatball. He's got to go in pit lane. Andrews Leenan did not take the start of the race. Jamie Bird has just gone under the inside of Christian, and Christian's going to settle in behind him. I think this is going to be a very pit stop orientated, save fuel kind of race here.
Yeah, that alludes to the point actually that I was going to run down, is how much fuel do you reckon they'll be consuming per lap round here, and how soon will they need to make a pit stop?
Well, if they can make it, they've got 85%, I believe, to start. It depends if they've actually started with that full amount. I don't believe anybody would have played around with that. I think they've kicked off with the 85. They might be able to go half an hour or so, maybe even a little bit longer, but we'll see how they get on as Patricia Gomez has just lost a place there to Noble, who is just on the left-hand side. Just saw him there as well. But I think there's going to be a lot of action taking place here. There's going to be a lot of up and downs, a lot of mixture of things going on. It's great to see Phil Glover sitting up in 4th at the moment here overall, 2nd in the championship. So fair play to Phil Glover. We'll see how he gets on throughout this race here once again. But Edwards Gonzaga opened up 2.7 seconds over Braun. Glover's in behind that with Silver and Nobles, and Gullickson and Harwood. Schutzke's still out in front with Buson. Matthews, Mellis and Zutis is also there as well. So yeah, still lots of action I think to come, Tom. I'm not overly worried about this first sort of 10-15 minutes.
No, I'm not either. I think there's a lot to come maybe in the latter half of the race. Do get involved in the live chat if you ever so wish to do, and like and subscribe, and you won't miss a thing of all the other championships that JP Broadcasting has got to offer, including the Radical Race Series, which will take a few weeks break before they resume battle on the racetrack. Meanwhile, we're looking at Mike Buson, who sits in 4th in class, 12th overall. He's sat behind Jamie Bird. Now, Jamie Bird and Mike Buson know the SR8s from the back of their own hands. Of course, they compete in that particular machine in another series, which JP Broadcasting show. But this is going to be a different challenge, maybe, compared to what we saw in the the normal format, let's just say, because with it being an endurance event. How much do they need to concentrate? I think there's a car off. That's Nobles who is off on the exit of Scari.
Yeah, I think he has gone off the side of the circuit there. These cameras are shocking. I do apologise. I will keep playing with them. Over he goes, up through the gravel, onto the grass, comes off the asset. Oh, somebody, yeah, somebody hit the bump and ended up bumping his way round. Let's put him right among the SR8s, mind you. So that's going to be an interesting one for him to deal with. Edwards has lost that lead to Gonzaga. I don't think Edwards is going to be overly worried about this at this moment in time due to the fact that it's still very early days. So we'll keep an eye out. Is Edwards going to go back through? He's looking on the left-hand side of Gonzaga at the moment. They're running down the back straight into this oval section. There is Gonzaga. There is Edwards. It's easy to run side by side here, and these guys are doing it. They're quite far apart at the moment.
Well, Steve Webb, who came in for a unscheduled pit stop, is probably using this now as like a test session, unless he can actually get back to the rear of the field. He is getting the gap down a little bit though since he came in, so he'll probably want to try and set some fast laps before he has to come into the pit lane again, because there's no way on earth he's going to be able to go to the end without needing to pit, with it being such a long event. There we see the top three in the SR8s. Alexander Schutzker, Christian Schutzker and Jamie Bird in 8th, 9th and 10th overall. Bird is just on the rear of Christian. They're coming out of the last of the bank-ins of this lap, and it's a drag race over to the Retifilio chicane between Christian and Alex Schutzker, and Christian is through in the blue and orange, Alex in the blue and white. I think Alex is going to have the inside line, isn't he? Unless Christian's out braking him. He backs out of it, and I'm a little surprised that Alex let him go through there.
Yeah, I think he probably erred on the side of caution, to be honest. And the interesting thing about that, I don't know if you could hear, but Bird was lifting when he was getting near. So he's trying, I think, as well, to kind of hang on to these guys and what's happening. Edwards and Gonzaga are having a right little bit of a ding-dong further back. They're going into the double right-handers at the moment, and out the other side they go. So, yeah, there's a lot still going to take place here. I think this is going to be one of these tracks where it's going to be sort of within the last sort of 5-10 minutes. I think this is going to be a very NASCAR-based race. If anybody's watched NASCAR, they just drive around in circles for about 400 laps, and then the last 5 laps, it all starts getting a little bit spicy-dicey. And I'm expecting the same kind of thing here. Because of the draft and the way it's going to work, a lot of these people are going to be staying together very, very easily. And that's why these groups here have not separated Christian, Alex, Jamie and Mike, because it's easy to stay with the people in front of you, and Buson's just touching outside the draft at the moment. He's still getting a little bit, but not as much as he'd probably like.
And there we are on board with Mike Buson on the exit of Ascari. He sits in behind Jamie Bird. He's got Nobles right behind, who's in a different class to where he's at. He's looking to recover off he had at Ascari a lap ago. Mike Buson is just content at the moment. He's happy to just not make too many efforts as we speak. There we look at Phil Glover going through on Patricio Gomez for 4th position. Heinz Braun's another 5 seconds up the road from where Glover is at. Now Phil Glover, who came into this one 2nd in his class, he's aiming for an end of season spark, if you want to say that. End of season glory for Phil after what's been an interesting season for him. His best points haul all campaign, that came at Daytona, where he got 70 championship points there, which is very impressive. And we'll get a word from Phil Glover before the night is over to basically ask how his season's gone, and hope that he can improve on that going into next season, depending on what he decides to do. But either way, he's through on Patricio Gomez into 4th position.
Gomez is going to come back up the inside.
Well, he is later on the brakes slightly, is Gomez, but Phil Glover is running a little too deep.
You gave him way more room than he needed, son. Way more room. I've known Phil for, oh, God, I don't know how many years now, 3 years or more. And it's interesting with him, the improvements that he's making is massive. And he brought that on from the fact that he's been working with Simon Edwards. Now, Simon's, I think, an 8-time champion or something, I think he's on now. And basically, he's been working alongside him. So I can understand how he's got better. One of the things when I did last speak to him, Phil, was like, well, I kind of need to work on my defensive strategy and maybe put a little bit more sort of gumph and gusto, should we say, into that ability. Kevin Harwood has just made an absolute drama for himself. So he knows where his area of weakness is. Oh, Kevin, you come off the gravel and then spark the car up too quick and try to go again and just couldn't get it moving. So he knows where the area of his weakness is, Phil. But it's just actioning in it, I think, as well. And you know, yeah, we're only 11 minutes in and there's still 49 to go. But you gotta, it's almost like playing football. Now, I'm old school, so when I played football 30 odd years ago, the manager said to me, right there, I was playing left back, I think I was, and the manager said to me, right, their right winger's quite quick, and instantly what you do is you go in and give him some oomph and let him know that you're there, you know what I mean? And he ain't going to get away, and every time he touched the ball after that, he'd be a little bit wary. And I'd like to have seen Phil to kind of not give him an oomph, but just kind of put the frighteners up a little bit and maybe give him a defence and give him something to think about. Not quite sure what happened to Kevin Harwood and Mike Boost on here. Harwood's very slow out of that chicane.
Yeah, and Booston just came too close.
The problem is Harwood,
he's been so slow since that mistake earlier, didn't he?
Yeah, he was very, very slow. So I'd like to see Phil lay down that marker, lay down the gusto, the oomph, to give him the little bit of a kick on the side, just so he knows that you're there and you ain't going to roll over for him. But listen, it's an area that Phil needs to work on. I'm sure Simon will get hold of him and say, right, you're going to do this time, you're going to do that next time, because he does have a tendency to roll over faster than a little puppy getting their belly rubbed.
Yeah. And I just want to see him be a little bit more robust and getting his elbows out a little bit, because it looks a bit too cautious when he's got drivers alongside him, and he feels like he has to leave so much space because he just doesn't want to end up getting caught up in any incidents. Now, getting caught up in any incidents and you falling back from the field is a driver's worst nightmare. But I think Phil Glover is at this stage now, as you can see, he's taken that's a better line they took there. Yeah, that was a strange line, but strangely enough, he made the apex. He made the apex of the Rettifilio and was able to keep hold of the place. So hats off to Phil Glover for that. Christian Schutz is ahead of Alex still at the moment, and Jamie Bird, well, he caught the car a little bit too much.
Wrong.
Yeah. Well, at least he kept the car points in the right way. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Zittis and Mellis are having a little bit of a ding-dong. Zittis is going to pull out. Zittis has not got no front on that machine, has he? No. He's got a nice little airflow going into his shoes, but that's about as much as he's got on the front. Can he get this car stopped, though? He's gone in very, very hot here. He does get it stopped, and Mellis gives him a load of room at the same time. Slow down there for Nobles, so he's going to have to take that off. I'm not entirely sure where he would have got that one, to be honest. Where would he have been at that moment? Maybe Lesmo 1, he might have got that slow down. Other than that, he's going to have to try again.
I think he's got it at the Della Rocha chicane, JP. That'll be my prediction there, because that is the kind of section where he's probably just overshot the chicane and carried on. But he's got the slowdown off the screen now, and he can get on with his race. But he's now just ahead of Mike Bousson, who had lost time when he came together with Kevin Harwood. He's disposed of him now. He's ahead of him, but he has lost crucial ground in the battle for the SR8 win between the two Schutskers and Bird.
Yeah, this is the battle for Gullickson, Silver and Glover. Gullickson coming back through the field after a little bit of a drama he had earlier. So see how these guys get on here as well. Gullickson going to go underneath. He's not going to take that full curb at the moment. He's going to sit back and go underneath him. And you can see he's literally alongside Silver at the moment. Schutskers are still together. They've dropped Bird by 1.6 seconds. That might have something to do with the mistake Jamie Bird made at the first chicane, of course. But now you can see Gomez pulled out. Glover's pulling out as well. There's a little bit of a block situation going on here for these guys. Who's going to come out on top going into that right-hander? I do love this layout. I don't know if you've done the oval just in the NASCARs, but boy, oh boy, is it bumpy.
Well, you do feel it, even though it may sometimes feel flat. There are sort of bumpy little sections of it that can catch you out. And I think that's the reason why we see a lot of spins in the NASCAR races, because as soon as a driver hits the bump at high speed, the faster you go, the less control you have when you ride over it. It's the same in rally when you go over dips. You go over a dip at such high speed, the way the car lands... Oh, that's a spin for Gomez! And he's caused a traffic jam with Ollie Gullickson having to slam on the brakes. No damage made to Gullickson's car, but Patricio Gomez has lost a bundle of time. But the good news for him is that he's got a big gap behind to the SR8s.
Yeah, and what's worse on that one as well was the fact that Gullickson there literally was gaining, and then he lifted as well. I do love this. Come on, you Spurs. Dude, if you could see the result of what's going on right now in the Spurs game, you wouldn't want that on your car. Let's just put it this way. As a Spurs fan, I am completely in shock and despicable horror of what's going on with my beloved Tottenham Hotspur at this moment in time. But Ollie Gullickson clearly is a Spurs fan, and there's no other reason he would have that on his card, to be blatantly honest, unless he actually was. So there we go. But yeah, very interested indeed there for Gullickson. Yeah, I'm not quite sure he's going to be a happy boy after this one.
Well, he probably won't have experienced Tottenham ever being relegated. I mean, they have been in the top flight of English football since 1978.
Yeah, they've been in there for ages, and yeah, I was born in 1978, thank God, so I've never experienced them getting relegated before either, but it is looking very, very likely this season. They're only a point above Forest and West Ham, for God's sake, and they're currently down to 10 men and losing. So, yeah, poor old Ollie. I don't know if you're listening, Ollie, but this is all coming your way after the race, mate. Maybe we'll have a catch-up and I'll bring you some spoilers to you. Gonzaga and Edwards have just swapped places again. I could stay with these two all day and they're just going backwards and forwards. But listen, at the end of the day, there are other drivers in there. The two Schutzkes are just following each other and opening the gap to Jamie Bird. They're working as a team and probably in a voice chat somewhere. So, fair play to them. But yeah, Gonzaga and Edwards still swapping places.
Well, there we are, Gonzaga on the rear of Edwards. Going through the second overall on lap number 7, out of what I feel will end up being something like a 24-lap race. That'll be what they're thinking. So round about lap 12 is when they're going to be doing their mandatory pit stops. It's a long lap, though. The amount of fuel you consume over the course of a single lap round here is pretty humongous. So is the undercut going to be more effective, or is it the overcut that's going to be more effective round here?
I think it's wherever you can find space on the circuit. I think that's going to be the best thing for these guys. I think it's going to be find space and make sure that you get out. You kind of, in a weird kind of way, want to sit back and try and go in the pits with somebody, because then you've got like a draft partner to work with. It's kind of almost like NASCAR, where they make sure they're going in, although they're not on the same team, they might go in with the same people who've got the same car. So there's a lot of NASCAR isn't just about turning left. If you see live pictures when they are pitting, there's a lot of people who are pointing in the car, they're pointing to each other, they're moving their hands around and saying, I'm going in, and then there would be teams working together. I suppose on this kind of circuit, you might want that philosophy, going in the pit lane with somebody, because then you're coming out with somebody and you've got a bit of draft to kind of help you. What you don't, I suppose, on the flip side of that is, although you can come in on your own and you get clear track, you're going to be struggling on the oval section because you've got no draft to tow. So it's very cat and mouse, but it depends on who's in what chat, who's working together, and whether or not they realise that actually going in with somebody is better than going on their own. Gonzaga's one who needs to go in with somebody, I feel, because he wants to go and stay in with Edwards. So I would probably, if I was him, look at going in with Edwards there as well. But that's just my philosophy. I don't drive. I comms for a reason. So I may be completely wrong.
Well, Gonzaga, who's by no means anywhere near in the championship reckoning, but he's wanting to end his season on a high. The gap is now 1.3 seconds between Edwards and Gonzaga. This is the closest battle we've got on circuit for you. And they're not exactly fighting, these two, Christian and Alex. It's time and time again when they are at this. They don't necessarily fight as much as you could possibly imagine. You know, they are brothers. You think, oh, okay, I want to finish ahead of my brother. I don't really like losing to him. It's a bit like a rivalry in football. You just never, ever want to lose to your rival.
No.
But they just seem like they're working as a team, these two. And they're almost like they're playing the game of chess. So you can see Alex going through on Christian that time around into the first oval. And it won't be too long before we end up seeing these two continuing to play the game of the leapfrog.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I think these guys are going to be working together, and they're swapping in a very good place. They're not swapping in chicanes. They're not swapping in Lesmo 1 and 2. They're swapping on the oval, which doesn't lose time. The other person could just come straight past and change over, and then it's almost like the Tour de France, where the leader peels to the side and then the next one takes over and he slots in behind. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. These two are working together, and I do like the Tour de France analogy there, because you never like being the rider in the lead at the early stage.
But it's a long time since I watched the Tour de France, thinking of it, but I wouldn't be against watching it if that was the only thing on TV I could possibly watch. But these two are going through the Rettifilio chicane in the lead and in second place in the SR8. So they're not too far off Patricia Gomez, who, if you remember, had that spin at the Rettifilio right in front of Ole Gulliksen. At least Gulliksen avoided that, and he's closing in on Phil Glover, who is... who's dropped back since the... Well, I say he's dropped back. He was in that battle with Patricia Gomez earlier. I was going to allude to Heinz Braun because Glover is 1.7 seconds off him, and Braun hasn't exactly got someone to fight with. He's got nowhere to fight up front, but now he's having to switch his attentions to Glover and Gulliksen, who are not fighting amongst themselves, and thus closing in on Braun, who is doing his utmost to keep all of that final podium position in the SR10.
That specifies on their times 2:42.35 for Braun, 2:41.29 for Glover, 2:45.9 for Gulliksen. So where he's getting the draft and Glover's clearly quicker than Braun, that's where the gap's coming down from. But yeah, there's still, well, we got 38 minutes, still a lot more to play for here. As you see, Braun's gone in pit lane. It might be a little bit
early to be making a pit stop, isn't it?
Yes, and probably no at the same time, which is kind of contradictory of itself. But I think at the moment, he's trying to... I'm not quite sure what he's looking for. And the worst part is he went in on his own. He has been driving on his own for a lot of the race. So I suppose on that side of things, it isn't really going to make a little bit of a difference. But yeah, I kind of wouldn't want to be going in this early, to be honest. He's going to come out in front of Buson, I believe. No, he's going to be behind Mike Buson. So he's going to be around Harwood kind of stage. He really wants to get up to speed quick, and maybe allow Harwood to go through and then grab hold of the old coattail, should we say.
Well, Harwood is going through ahead, but I think Braun is going to get the benefit of the draft, which will help him get up to speed coming out of here. But if I was Heinz Braun, I would highly consider getting in front of him, because Harwood has been slow for parts of this, and Heinz Braun will not want to be wasting time being sat behind him during the more modern layout of this course. Well, the saving grace for Heinz Braun is that he's not the only driver that's come into the pit lane, because Chris Soutis has also made his way in the SR8s.
He's just coming as well. We'll keep an eye on Braun's time. Shutska's has swapped again. That was on the run down into turn number 1. So they've swapped, so that's always good. They're keeping that, rotation going. Harwood has got Buson, that's job done, but then again, that's a 10 versus an 8, and we know the 10's got the speed. Braun's going to be in behind Buson at the moment, and he's going to want to go get past him as quickly as possible. But you see the exit speed of the 8 kept Buson well in time with Harwood in the 10, but it's kind of not about here, it's there. It's just as Harwood goes up to the higher gears, that's where Buson's just kind of got no response from. Watch as he comes in. Buson will be able to get the corner in speed here through the right and left hand. Saying that, Harwood just got that completely all pitong. That was absolutely rotten formal cornering from Kevin Harwood. In through the right-hander at the moment. We'll keep an eye with these two. Oh, come on, Harwood. You've got to get it going, son.
Well, through goes Braun on Buson. Oh, and Harwood makes a mistake, and I think that's a blessing for Braun, because now he doesn't have to deal with Harwood for the foreseeable future. But now he's given the draft to Buson behind, who I don't think is going to fight it out with Braun, as it is not his battle. Gulliksen makes his way into the pit lane, James.
Yeah, I can see it now. 35 minutes to go on that one, but you see Braun's just pulled away. He should. Coming up is going to be around about a shift for 5th and 6th that I would have thought he would have opened. He can open that up. He's not quite in 6th yet. Buson's still hanging on to his coattails, and there you go. It's just as he gets to 6th, he kind of jetsons away from him. But at the moment, Buson's still managing to stay there again with the aid and assist of the draft. Gulliksen is still in pit lane. He's got Braun coming at him very, very quickly. Braun's going to jump Gulliksen here, and away he goes there for Heinz Braun. So maybe that early stop paid him dividends.
The undercut proving effective that time around for Heinz Braun. I think it could well be a bigger gap compared to what it was before the pit cycle had started. And Gulletson rejoins ahead of Graham Matthews, who's actually going side by side with him because Gulletson hasn't exactly got up to speed yet. But he'll use Graham Matthews as a toe to go back in front, unless Matthews decides that he wants the draft himself because he knows he's not going to be quick in a straight line. And so Gulletson rejoins in P11, and he's got clear track ahead of him. So the fact he's pitted now could pay dividends later.
Absolutely. It's going to really top him out. I'm expecting him to jump up quite high here. If he can get a good run, Heinz Braun, he may be able to get away and probably maybe up to Gomez. Maybe a little bit, or Silva as he is on the standings there on the left-hand side. Patricio Gomez Silva. So he might be able to get up there. So I'll be interested to see how that works. Bouson's lost a place to Harwood. Harwood's ready to catch up again. That's a 10-8 situation on there. So they've managed to get through on that one. 33 minutes remaining. We're kind of in a little bit of a lull. I'm kind of waiting for a rush. I feel there could be a pit. Oh, God. Harwood's got to get on with it. Got to get on with it. Bousson must be chomping at the bit to go through.
Yeah, his acceleration on the exit of corners hasn't exactly been on his side tonight, Kevin Harwood. But he's doing his best. Let's see how he does. Oh, who's that going through?
Harwood.
That's Heinz Braun and Harwood. And, well, Braun went off further ahead, and Harwood also missed the chicane himself.
If it wasn't for the speed of the 10, I reckon Bousson would be motoring away from Harwood. I reckon the speed of that 10 is keeping Harwood where he needs to be, but yeah, he needs to be doing a lot better in that car and getting it under control, because it's just causing a little bit of drama in and around people here once more. Shushka's still running as a team, still chasing down Patricio Gomez, who is in front of him at this moment in time. Robert Noble's bummed. Game froze and came back to me in the wall. Oh, well, there you go. That's always not a good idea, is it really? Don't really want that one. Oh, hold on, you're there. Oh, yes, it did. Oh, Robert.
Is that a sim issue?
Yeah, he basically, the game has froze, and next you know, he's woken up. The game's woke up, and he's headed towards the wall at full pace. So, not a lot he's going to be able to do on that one, unfortunately for Robert. He's just going to sit back and you know, watch it at home. Let's just put it that way. At least it's happened to, you know, somebody else for a change, because I'm normally the one that gets it.
Well, there we see Mike Bousson just keeping up with Heinz Braun, because Braun made that mistake at the De La Roggia. He's now 16 seconds off Jamie Bird. Mike Bousson hasn't stopped in this race yet. He just cannot do anything about the top three in the SR8s, Bousson, because he's been stopped behind traffic, which hasn't helped his cause. And he's basically got no one to fight up ahead, and he's got nothing really to lose behind. So it just feels like a really lonely race for Mike Bousson, if I could get my words out.
Yeah, I think this is the thing, though. He's only been here 4 times. You know what I mean? Apparently he's only raced in 4 races, or 4 rounds, I should say. So there goes Harwood again. If I was Bousson, I'd kind of be regretting that one. But yeah, he hasn't really been here that long. He's had 3 podiums as Mike and 2 wins. So, you know, he ain't a slouch, and I know he's not a slouch. And considering him, you know, he's a tractor driver. I don't even think he is a tractor driver, but I know where he lives, and that's up the road from me, and that is very rural. So I've put Mike down as a carrot crunching tractor driver, even though he probably ain't, to be honest.
Now we look at Mike Bousson, who's now in the draft of Braun, who continues to drop back. We're waiting to see when the leaders are going to come in. Well, we are approaching the halfway point in this endurance event at Monza. Gonzaga is now 3.7 seconds off Edwards. If I was Gonzaga, with the way the pit stops have been playing out so far for the field in general, for those who have come in, I would consider pitting in now if I was George Gonzaga. I really do.
Yeah. You might be right, to be honest with you. Gomez is surviving ahead of Christian here, and that's purely out the pace of the 10. He ain't surviving for anything else here. There's a big disparity between I rating. But watch that 10, all of a sudden, he should get it just about now. And should have started opening up the gap. There he goes a little bit. You can see it just extending. It goes onto the oval. Christian's trying to slot in behind him there. But you can see Gomez is adios. See you later. There goes the speed of the 10. Here, you've literally just seen it live. 169 topping out miles an hour, 170. The 8 is doing 163. So he's losing 7 miles an hour quicker in the oval. He's 7 miles an hour slower, sorry, in the oval section. But for Christian, he's faster than Silver everywhere else on the racetrack. So it's very, very difficult for these guys, especially in the 8. You've seen the situation with Buson. Buson's now got in pit lane. Matthews is in pit lane as well. You saw that situation with Harwood and Buson. Buson wanted to go. Harwood was slow. Comes back at him down the straight. So very, very difficult indeed.
Well, there we see the two Schutskers. It's almost like an intimate relationship between these two because they've been that close all the way through here at Monza. They've still yet to pit, these two. Mike Buson and Graham Matthews have come into the pits at the end of lap number 11. So they have made the switch now. Buson gets out in some relatively clean air, I would say. He's got a couple of seconds in hand to make up on Stefan Millis, but that's okay for Buson because if he could just stay in that tow, then he's gaining time on those further ahead of Bird and the Schutskers. But even if he was to make up the ground, it's still not going to be enough for him to leapfrog them because he's fallen that far behind, and it's just going to take an almighty miracle for him to claw it back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, he ain't going to give up. He enjoys his racing and he enjoys driving a car, and you say races Monday nights in another series, so he knows what he's doing. He ain't a slouch, and he knows he's aiming for going past Mellis because that's really his next target. If he wasn't caught up in and around Harwood, I would say Bird might be possible. But again, Jamie's been in his cars for as long as I can remember. I've been in a Radical Race Series now, oh, Jesus Christ, 3-4 years, maybe, if not, I think. So, you know, I've known Bird all that time, and at the end of the day, he ain't a slouch in the car. So for Jamie, he's just going to keep plodding along. He did lose some time to Alex and Christian. Unfortunately, that dip was due to a mistake, and you can see that he made. And Christian, as I said, is faster than Patricio Gomez everywhere else on the racetrack. But watch this 10 motor away. He should do very, very shortly.
Yeah. We're going to see the huge difference in speed between the SR10s and the SR8s. But this is the thing. When Gomez gets to 163 miles an hour, and it increases, that's when he starts pulling away. Because like you mentioned with the SR8s, that 163 is pretty much where it tops, depending on the other setups which they've gone with, which is a fixed setup in these machines. But then again, this tells you about Patricio Gomez's race compared to the SR8s, because he should be able to pull away from these, but he's just not maximised the performance, in my point of view, compared to how the likes of Edwards and Gonzaga have been able to do.
I don't think it's here he's losing time. That's the problem. It's not here. It's on the Grand Prix layout. He's opened up 1.7 and it's still going upwards north. Mind you, these two are towing each other, Christian and Alex. Two cars normally goes faster than one, but it ain't there he's losing time. It's not on this bit. Gomez can pull away. He's opened up 2.2, 2.3, still going north of 2.4, 2.5 coming up. It's now. And this will start coming the other way because I don't think he can match Christian's pace in through turn 1 and 2. It's down to 2.3. It will come down again going into the next chicane and down through the Lesmos and down through the final chicane. So I think there's still places that, you know, that's where the time comes down for Gomez. You see it's down to 1.9. It's going to come down again. It's the infield that Gomez is losing time, and he can open up most of it on the outfield.
Well, there we see Gomez going through the De La Rocha chicane. Watch for that gap to decrease again between him and the Schutskers. Phil Glover is sitting comfortably in third place. No one to fight with at the moment. But remember, Heinz Braun did come in for a pit stop along with Ole Gulliksen as well. So by the time Phil Glover has done his stop, he will filter out round about where Braun and Gulliksen are. Now,
there you go.
Braun and Gulliksen...
Sorry to interrupt. Stand a half a second. Schutsker in silver.
Well, there we go. That tells you about this. Yeah, 3/10. It was run about just under 2 seconds the last time I saw, and there we go. You just see the nose of Christian Schutsker in your picture, and he'll be happy to just sit back. And this is helping the Schutskers, who are pulling away from Jamie Bird. Is now 11 seconds off the SR8 lead.
That's the thing. this isn't going to matter. They catch him at the same place every single time, right at the end of the lap. And now watch. Gomez is just going to go north and faster and faster. And Christian's got no match for him. Once he hits 163, he's topped. Whereas Patricio can go 167, 170. He can go north of that. We can't. You know, we're topping out at 165 because we got the draft. Now we're losing the draft, and now it's down to 164. It's going to come down to 163 because he's not got that draft. And that's the thing. The 8 is so good in the corners that they can't match what the 10's doing. But Christian is so good in the corners, Patricio can't match what he's doing. Patricio's relying on the speed of his car to keep him ahead. And at the moment, the SR10 is doing just that.
24 minutes remaining at Monza. We've still got drivers who are due to come into the pit lane. Now, in case you're wondering who needs to pit in, well, all of the top 7 have yet to come in. And the likes of Kevin Harwood, who's yet to come into the pit lane, along with Stefan Mellis. Those are the only drivers who have yet to come in. All the others have done. But I'm just worried about those who have come in. I think Steve Webb also came in at the end of lap 1, but he'll need to come back in because he won't have enough fuel to go to the end. No. So he's also due to make his way in for a scheduled stop.
Absolutely. Mellis is trying to stay with Buson here. This isn't a bad shout if these two can latch up. This might assist both of them. Harwood's 40-odd seconds down the road. You've seen the difference between the 10 and the 8. Gomez and Schutzke, 2 seconds, but Gomez is now coming into the infield, which is going to cause him a problem, where Schutzke's going to catch up, 1.5, down half a second. They're only coming into Lesmo 1. So, you know, that's the situation that's happening here. But if Mellis can keep hold of Buson, this might not be a bad run for these two. Whether or not they'll get Bird, I'm not entirely sure.
Here they come through the second part of the oval. Stefan Mellis behind Mike Buson, who has already pitted. George Gonzaga is in, JP.
Yeah, I just seen him dive in there. Not a bad move, I would have thought. Question is, where is he going to come in? Or come out, I should say. And who's he going to come out in front of?
Well, he ain't going to come out in front of Phil Glover, so the next target for him to get out in front of is going to have to be Patricio Gomez. Because
yeah. Or Gomez, whatever you want to call him. Unfortunately, he's, well, Patricio Silva, Gomez Silva. Where are you, George? He's out. Where are you? In pit lane. Oh, you needed to be careful there. A little bit of entry, that little bit of speed up. I'm hoping hasn't done any dramas to Christian there. It's just Gomez was slow in pit lane. He's early on the limiter. Just there. Oh. Let's hope he didn't get a penalty out of that, because he will be extremely unhappy with himself. Gonzaga's out, free track, 12.5 seconds to Bird, 17 to Glover.
So now he's run about 44 seconds off the lead of Simon Edwards. Now, if we look at the times which they've been doing, they've spent... Ooh, I can tell you that Patricio Gomez has been in the pit lane for longer than the Schutzkes now, because he's behind the pair of them. The Schutzkes have done 23 to 24 seconds in their stops, at least in the pit box anyway, along with the time of slowing down for the pit limiter and going through the pit lane and getting up to speed when you come out of the pit lane. So there's all that to factor in for when Simon Edwards comes in. Having said that, he had something like 4 seconds in hand over George Gonzaga before he ducked into the pit lane. Or John Sullivan ducked into
it. Just spin it in pit lane.
Well, this is Kevin Harwood. What on earth has he managed to do here?
Spun it. Watch.
Oh goodness me. The fact he's been driving in the wrong way in the pit lane as well does worry me, because I wonder if he might get a penalty for that.
I don't know, there's a lot to me to you in going on there with Kevin Harwood at the moment. Wonder if it's worth Harwood reaching out to Edwards and having a chat. I think he might be able to assist him there. Simon Edwards is in pit lane. That probably will bode that Phil Glover's going to come in. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't.
It feels like these fuel tanks are able to do something like 45 minutes. So I wonder if Phil Glover's feeling a little bit ambitious and staying out there for another lap, just to get it down. But it looks like, judging by the way coming out of the Curva Alboreto, that he's coming in.
Yeah, he can go quicker. The line ain't further. You ain't got to stop until the cove, mate. So he could have gone a little bit quicker there. It's going to be here. Edwards is on his way out. Bang.
Yep.
Off he goes. Gonzaga's nowhere near. I think it was like 4 seconds or something when he came into pit lane. What's it going to be on the way out? Silver's got to slow down. 10, 9. Let it settle down. 8.5.
Probably looking around about 5 seconds, I think, JP. More than that, if not. 8 seconds.
Yeah. 8 seconds at the moment. The two Schutzkes are still working together. They haven't really done much throughout the whole of the race apart from swapping. Bird is now in pit lane. Gonna be... Yeah, you're through the final corner. What's Bird's fuel gonna be? And how quickly is he gonna fill up and get out? Not very quickly. 23, 24, down the order he goes. Gomez, oh, Bird's on his way out. Busson's miles away, so Bird might be holding on to that top three.
There he comes then. Rejoin long way clear over Mike Busson. And Bird is consigned to a third place finish in the SR8 because there's no way he's going to do anything about Christian or Alex, because they've been that quick all the way through this one. And Bird, well, it's essentially a Sunday drive for the next 18 minutes. Yeah,
absolutely. Just going to have to plod along and maybe they might come together, or I don't really know for Bird. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how he gets on. So yeah, let's see what goes on there. I'd like to point out the Spurs game has finished. No miracles.
Well, it doesn't look great for them at the moment, and they've essentially got 9 games left to save themselves. Have Tottenham.
No, apparently since 1935. This is their longer winless run in league football to open a calendar year. 11 matches without a win so far in 2026. Well,
is that top flight history in English football?
I presume that's just overall in general.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, Palace fans were singing "You're going to boo" in a minute after the end of the game. So there we go, and they did. Paul.
There we look at Heinz Braun. First time we've spoken about him for a little bit now. He's got Phil Glover ahead. Now, Phil Glover's pit stop, I think, you know, that time he's lost there by just putting the limiter on a little bit too soon may have cost him dear, because he's now got Braun on his tail.
Yeah, he lost 1.5 seconds just by not practicing that. There we go. 1.5 seconds on pit entry. Massive. Absolutely massive.
Braun, yeah, and Phil Glover was able to brake later into the Curva Alboreto compared to Braun on the exit. And now, as they filter their way down the pit straight or sprint down the older section of the course, and Phil Glover's going to have it back on his hands. But at least it gives us something to talk about between now and the checkered, because the battle is raging for the final podium position in the SR10s. 76 points up for grabs between these.
Absolutely. I don't think the Schutzkes are going to do any more. I think they're probably content with following each other. It'll be Braun and Glover that's going to put on the action, as long as they don't end up careering. Oh, Braun, you're playing a dangerous game there. Bump drafting, Phil. Let him go in the corner. Stay away. Good job. Heinz Braun there, the German, doing a stunning job. And backing away in the corner. That is how you bump draft, ladies and gentlemen, going into corners. For anybody that drives NASCAR, Tom, by the way.
Yeah, of course. But I'm sure they've done some other racing that requires bump drafting as well. You know, probably take, you know, British touring cars have done it a little bit in the past, particularly over at Rockingham. Even on the inner sections of the course, or the layout which they use, the infield. They've perhaps done a little bit of it in the past. They don't race at Rockingham anymore, because Rockingham is no longer a racetrack these days.
That's a shame. I mean, I'd love to have like the NFL do at Spurs' Stadium. I'd love to have a flagship NASCAR race at an oval in the UK. Unfortunately, we don't have any ovals in the UK at all now, which is rubbish. Obviously, we've got banger racing circuits, but I don't think NASCARs will want to roar around a, I don't know, barely half-mile mud pit, to be honest.
Glover makes a mistake through the first part of Lesmo, which allows Heinz to close back in a little. Well, Steve Webb, who came into the pits for a second time in this endurance event, is now only 7.5 seconds off Stefan Mellis. So there could still be a battle between those two in the final few laps of this.
Yeah, let's have a look at Webby's lap time next time around. Mellis is on a 2:44.99, but I think that's because he's driving around on his own, or 2:45.52 last time out. Webby 3:21, but that did include the pit stop. So let's see what they do on the next time around, and we'll see how close they're going to be to each other.
Steve Webb, how far is he off the leaders now? He's 1 minute and 33 seconds off, but I don't think that's going to be relevant because the lap times we've been seeing have been like in the 2 minute 40. 2 minute 39, 2 minute 39s or 2 minute 40s, and yeah, there's no way he's going to get lapped, so he's not going to be a problem to the leaders by any means. Is Steve Webb, but he is closing in on Mellis on this lap certainly, and we'll get an update as to what are the lap times that those two have been doing. Now we've got an update with the stand-ins in the SL10s and the SR8s in this one. Edwards leading the way over Gonzaga. It's Glover, Braun, Gullickson, Silver, and Harwood. Noble's out of the race. Lehnan didn't even take the start. He wasn't even involved in practice or quali. Zootis has just got by Matthews now for position, and the two Schuskas continuing to play the game of chess, with Alex now ahead of Christian.
I love chess. Just put that out. Matthews has done this, that's why he got past. There we go. That's how Zootis got past. On Graham Matthews made the mistake. These two swap in. I'll pick them up on the final lap, I think. That will maybe give us a better idea. Glover and Braun side by side into the first chicane.
Yeah, and that's Braun far later on the brakes, and he's going to make the apex. I'm quite disappointed with Phil on that one because he just didn't get his elbows out when he needed to, especially at this stage in the race when he's got a podium position in class to fight for.
Yeah, I know. He can be a frustrating man at times, but then again, he is in a full-blown motion simulator with VR. That's enough to make anybody seasick, that. You just see him at Sebring, he has to turn it down. It's that bumpy. Shakes his teeth out. It's a, yeah, full motion sim with VR. So if anybody wants to upset Phil, put him up in the air and then watch him get seasick. There we go. Right. These guys are going to carry on. That's kind of teetered out a little bit. These two are still following each other. It's really difficult to bring you anything other than these guys just poodling around at the moment because there isn't anyone close to each other. They're all fairly spread out around the racetrack. Let's see if Glover can come back at Braun there, but I don't know with 11 minutes to go.
We've got
sorry, Webb and Mellis, 2:43 for Webb. 2:46 for Mellis, so 3 seconds he picked up on Stefan over that last lap.
Yeah, and it's now just under 5 seconds off Mellis in the fight for what is 14th position overall. In terms of class, that is 7th and 8th in between those two, so a little bit of something to fight for, but it does give them a big haul of points, with it essentially being double points. There will be a few gyros in this one that will pick up points for ending this one with 0 incidents to their name on the timing. So looking to see who is on 0 incidents in this one.
It's very difficult to see at the moment.
I don't think anyone has, you know. The lowest, I think, is 1, which is Phil Glover. Or is that off tracks?
Yeah, that's off tracks. So 0 is basically they've had 0 off tracks. It's very difficult to see because I don't know about it. Doesn't pick up car contact very well. Maybe I'll see if there's a plug-in somewhere that might be able to help. But let's see what
We've got
goes
10
on.
minutes remaining, and Simon Edwards is stroking along in the lead. over 9 seconds clear over George Gonzaga. And Phil Glover's coming back on Heinz Braun a little bit now. The gap is just around about a quarter of a second, but it isn't as close as the what the Schuskers are doing right now with Alex ahead of Christian, who are 15 seconds clear over their nearest rival, is Jamie Bird, who has got Patricio Gomez a couple of seconds back, who's going to be quicker on the straights, but in the modern section of the course, is what JP had alluded to earlier, that's where Gomez tends to struggle a lot more at. As we see Christian continuing to go through ahead of Alex on the pit straight on the mod.
Yeah, they've done it pretty much every lap. Just swapping backwards and forwards because, you know, they're not holding each other up. Gomez and Bird, bye. There he goes, raw past, 7 mile an hour difference. That's what it looks like on the racetrack. But then I would expect Bird to come back at Patricio in this next section, so very difficult. Gullickson's coming back at Glover. He's about 7/10 back as well. So, yeah, see how they get on. At the same time, we've got 8.5 minutes to go.
Well, we'll get you an update on the lap times between Mellis and Webb, and we have got an update of it. 1.7 seconds quicker Webb was on the previous lap compared to Mellis, and the gap is coming down to 2.7. So I think we're going to get a battle between those two before this race is over, as we see Jamie Bird, who's been passed by Gomez on this lap, now goes back ahead of him at Lesmo 1. And Buson's through on Harwood, which is no surprise.
No, they're not. Harwood's back through.
Okay, well,
it's the speed,
it's going to be.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I suppose it is, isn't it? And that's the leverage that Harwood has. If he was in an SR8, he would have no chance against Buson.
No, Buson would be gone. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, due to speed at the 10, he's going to be coming back at him quite quickly. 7.5 minutes to go into Lesmo 2. Now goes Buson. And Harwood, you should see him come back at him fairly quickly.
Out of Lesmo 2, we've got 7.5 minutes remaining, and Simon Edwards, where is he around the circuit now? He is halfway round his 20th lap. I would probably say he's going to have 3 more laps of racing by the time he next crosses over the line. So it'll be a 23-lap race for Edwards, which he'll happily take. But the two Schuskers are still dicing for the win, even though the battle isn't as fierce as what the gap suggests.
Oh, that is, though. Go on, Phil.
Well, there's Phil Glover. Come on, Phil. Come on, you gotta be later on the brakes there, Phil. You've got to be later on the brakes. I suppose he wasn't exactly close enough to be within range to just send it, but this is the thing with Glover. He's got to catch Heinz Braun by surprise. If he could just get on the tail of him and just put him under a little bit of pressure and force him into a mistake, that could be what does it. But he can't expect that. The only way he can hope that he's going to be going through is just close in and absolutely send it.
Just send it on him. Find out
the only
what
trouble
happens.
he's got though, JP, he's got Ollie Gullickson closing in, because he's just round about as close as Glover is to Braun.
Yeah, but go for it. Final race of the season. Have it. You know what I mean? That's all we want to see, innit, on the final race. Them two going absolute hell to leather.
And Steve Webb is on the tail of Stefan Millis as they cross over the line, and Webb's just done his best lap of the race thanks to the draft he's been given by Millis. 3 seconds quicker than what Millis did on that previous lap, and through goes Webb on Millis. Good on you, Steve.
Yeah, he should just pull forward now as well. I'm sure I'll get a DM from Stefan. I get a DM from Stefan after every race he's in, and he tells me things that, you know, this has happened, that's happened, this is why I was so slow, or I've had 0 practice. I don't know why he tells me he's had 0 practice. I know he's had 0 practice. He doesn't normally get in a session until they're about to go into qualifying. That's probably about as much practice as Stefan's probably done. So there we go. Bird is still stuck up behind Patricio Silva, but I think Silva's probably playing a game in with him then. If Webb has done 3 seconds quicker, I expect this to be departing from each other very, very soon. As soon as they start going into the GP layout, I would have thought is what's causing Stefan problems. Buson and Harwood swap places again, but I think Harwood's going to come at him once more. Braun, Gullickson and Glover. There's the 3 battles.
Yep. Glover's got back ahead of Braun. I wonder if Braun made a mistake on this lap or whether Glover just took advantage of the draft and went on by. And there is Gullickson, who's not going to be a happy man as far as the football is concerned by the end of this one. But there goes Glover. That was so easy. That it wasn't. I wonder if Braun did that on purpose, just so that he got the draft off Glover for when they come onto the modern pit straight, which is what they're going through now. Oh, imagine if Gullickson just takes 2 in one go here. That would be very impressive.
Yeah, unlike Spurs, he might actually gain positions. There we go.
So he's probably gained more positions here than his beloved Tottenham have
Exactly.
over the course of this week.
Over the course of this first half of the year, mate. All right. they've gone down faster than they've gone up. Let's just put it that way.
That is relatively true. Brutal, but true.
Listen, honesty is my best policy, and at the moment, my beloved Tottenham Hotspur are shocking. So there we go. Let's see what we'll catch up and have a chat with Gullickson after this and see if he's actually a Spurs fan. The two Schutzkes are just following each other. I'm not really sure. Gullickson's got a slow down there, but he got that because he took too much of a curve on the exit. So unfortunately for him, he's going to have to try and get that off. I would probably aim for Lesmo 2, maybe back it off a little bit. Now try and get down the straight and see if we can get some more off. Two Schutzkes still together. Mellis losing time to Webb, as I thought might happen.
Yeah, and Webb's gone over. He's coming over the line now to see if it's going to be an improvement in lap time. Probably won't be because of his tussle with Mellis around about a couple of laps ago. Well, Mellis has posted his best lap of the race, believe it or not, 2 minute 44.3. Webb did a 2 minute 43.3, which is over a couple of seconds faster than what Graham Matthews has produced. He's only got 2 laps remaining. Unless Matthew makes a mistake in the final couple of laps, I just can't see Webb getting by him. But let's see if Webb can give it a good old go.
Yeah. Where are we going to be here? This might actually be the final lap.
It will. No, it won't be. Because Edwards has already gone over the line.
No, he's coming around that final. Is he going to go in the banking? I never know which way he's going to go. Are you going to go in the stadium or not? Which way did they start you off? There's the line.
No, the line was at the other side on the old layout, James. That's where the lap times are clocked at.
Ah, that's quite strange. I thought they might have had the line going down into turn 1. But there we go. See what goes on. Should be the last lap next time around then.
Yeah, it will be. But Edwards is on his way to a very, very comfortable win, which will also see him wrap up the SR10's championship. Looking at the standings in the in overall, Edwards will well, it's Schuster who will come away with the overall points ahead of Edwards. But I think Edwards will just be very, very happy with how he's done this season. I think we've had a change in the field. Kevin Howard's moved in front of Mike Bousson, for your information. But I think that's a little bit of swapping places, as is Heinz Born with Ole Gunnarsson. Oh, he got there, but I think Braun was going to have the upper hand that time.
Yeah, he just got that line, did Braun. So Gullickson's going to have to go again here. Phil Glover's dropped. Oh, dude. That'll be why Phil Glover's dropped.
This will be him overshooting the chicane, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to not get a slow down. It might be easier just running across, getting a slow down, getting it off, to be honest. But there we go. Simon Edwards, where you at? Going to be coming over the line this time around. Is he back in there? He can just bat this off, to be honest. Final lap of the race?
Yeah, he's gone over the line. So lap 23 has started. It's the last lap for Simon Edwards and the last lap of the first season of the Radical Race Series of 2026. And we hope everyone has enjoyed the battle of the Radicals, the SR10s and the SR8s. And Simon Edwards absolutely controlled this one, in all honesty. He had Gonzaga on his tail in the early stages, but I think Edwards was going to have basically control of it, even though the gap was so small. I just felt that Edwards was going to really, really pull away from Gonzaga. This has been a very, very mature drive from Simon again.
Ah, dude, he's you know, he's a champion for a reason. He ain't stupid. Let's just put it that way. So fair play to him. The end of the clock has done. but he will finish second overall. Yes, he will finish second overall because he had to try and turn Alex out, and Alex is sat behind Christian. I would suspect that should swap. Unless they're trying to get Christian in front of Edwards, that would be very interesting indeed.
Well, looking at the gap between Christian, just 11 points between those two, but I just think Edwards is going to hold on ahead of Christian. I think even if Christian was to come away with the best score possible in this, Edwards is just going to come away with too much.
Absolutely. I think he should do. He should finish in second. Alex and Christian have just swapped again. Bird is still up behind Gomez. Oh, no, wrong pairing. There we go. That's what I want. But Gomez again should just be motoring away as they're going on to straight. Gullickson's tucked up behind Braun as they're starting their final lap once again. Gullickson's gone up the inside.
Well, Webb and Matthews are down a lap on the leader by the looks of things, considering where they are around the circuit. When Edwards is on his way to the checker votes, but see Gullickson make a mistake on the exit of the rest of the video, which won't help. That allows Heinz Braun to go back ahead. It's going to be a drag race to the line, I feel, involving those two. Kevin Harbour's coming to the pit lane, presumably with a penalty, which is having to... Yeah, I don't know why he's having to do that, because he could have just gone on to the end and served it that way.
Yeah, he's got 3 laps to serve it. If he can get it in before the final lap, he won't drop 40 seconds. But I think for Kevin Harwood, it's not really going to make a difference. And they've swapped again.
Simon Edwards, yeah, they swapped again. Simon Edwards is close to the checker flag now. There he is. A brilliant race from Simon Edwards to wrap up the season here at Monza, and he takes a very, very commanding win to take the SR10 title by a very, very comfortable margin. Very well done to Simon Edwards. George Gonzaga finishes in second place, and it's going to be a battle between Heinz Braun and Ollie Gullickson, although the gap has increased quite considerably. I just hope the drivers have got enough fuel to the checker flag, because we have seen in the past that the SR8s can run thirsty, especially on a track like this one where straight line speed is ever so paramount. Kevin Harwood does rejoin the race. He's not shown that he's taken the checker flag, so he'll at least have this lap to do. But for now, it's the victory for Simon Edwards. Heinz Braun finishes third ahead of Ollie Gullickson, who ends his season on a high. Phil Glover will be in 5th place, and we'll have a look on the scores in terms of how that impacts everything. It's 70 championship points at least for Phil Glover, and the two Schuskers, who are nose to tail with 1 corner to go,
should swap.
Will they swap though?
Should hope so.
Well, I don't know what's been said between the pair of them, but Alex has decided to let Christian go, unless we'll see a dragged race to the line. Imagine if it ends up being 0.00000 when they cross over. I hope they do it, but I don't think they will. No, it's 0.041.
Surprised they've done it that way. Don't get me wrong, he's still in front of Simon and he's still taking the championship, but I am surprised they've done it again, unless it was to get Christian up into trying to get in 2nd place, but I don't think there's enough mathematically for him to do that.
Steve Webb has finished the lap down, 6 seconds behind Graham Matthews, so maybe a couple more laps and he would have got to the rear of him. And now on the last lap, he was 3 seconds quicker than what Matthews had produced. So had he continued to go at that rate, he could have got ahead of him. Before this race was over. There was a couple more laps in there.
Yeah, just unfortunately, we're never going to know where he would have ended up. So, yeah, unfortunately for Steve Webb, I think he had that drama at the beginning, I think, didn't help his race.
Now we see Chris Soutis, who's not had an awful lot to do in this one. He's going to make it to 5th in class and 11th overall. He's around about 40 seconds clear over Kevin Harwood, who did come in to serve that penalty. He probably would have lost more time serving the penalty at the end than he would have done by pitting. So at least that's something that Kevin Harwood has done right there, compared to what we saw from him when he was in the pit lane and he just overcooked the rear tyres as he came out of the pit box.
Yeah, I haven't seen that happen for quite a while, but it definitely did happen to Kevin Harwood there, fortunately. Just waiting for him to come over the line and then I'll bring you up the results. Tom?
We'll see.
Oh, you are
Yep.
still there.
Yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry. We're waiting for Kevin Harwood to head over the line. And that is race over for the Brit. And everyone's crossed over, and we can run down on the final classification of the 16-minute endurance event at Monza for the season finale of the Radical Race Series. And it's Simon Edwards who takes the win ahead of George Gonzaga. Heinz Braun third ahead of Ollie Gullickson, and it's Phil Glover in fifth position. Christian Schuster beats Alex, or is given the win in the class. And then it's Patricia Gomez who ends up sixth in class in the SR10s. Jamie Bird rounds out the SR8 podium, followed by Mike Bousson, Chris Soutsis, Kevin Harwood, Graham Matthews, finishing just 6 seconds clear over Steve Webb, and Stefan Mills was the last finisher. Robert Nobles was the last driver. It was the only driver to not finish the race. Andreas Lehnen didn't even start that one. He wasn't even involved in the sessions prior.
Got Simon Edwards waiting for you.
And we'll have a word with Simon Edwards, who is with us in the booth. Simon, good evening.
Simon. Oh, there we go. He's there. Hello.
Okay. Simon, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you. A different format tonight compared to it, and you had Gonzaga on your tail in the early stages, but we felt like you were in cruise control throughout that.
Not cruise control. So I was having to hot lap it. I could save a little bit of fuel behind George. I just made him more and more paranoid, I think, the more I saved. So, yeah, and then he made a couple of mistakes when I got back in front. And once I got the draft, I knew I had a 2 or 3 tenths on him. He's got a good setup. He's driving well. So that was it, really. Did you have a nice cup of Ovaltine while you were watching that?
We've had a fairly, we saw the sort of swapping places between the shoot skills actually, because we felt like it was one of those chess games that they were playing. I don't know if there was any internal discussion between the pair of them whilst they were racing on circuit, but that was pretty much the emphasis of the race, wasn't it, JP?
Yeah, it was, unfortunately. We just had you out in front on a nice little cruise and a Sunday drive there, Simon. But, yeah, everybody else was having a little bit of fun. Phil's doing well. I've got to be honest, your coaching's doing well for him. He just needs to get his elbows out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what sort of I was saying to him. But we were on no downforce at all on the 10, and it's a tricky little beast with no downforce. So it shows his improvement that he can lap within a second of me.
Yeah, it definitely did that, mate. And looks like you finished second overall in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my incidents this season, but that's the way it goes. And I'm still happy that I'm competitive at my age.
What's that, 21 again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that with a multiplier on it. It's those fake frames, the NVIDIA multipliers on them.
Yeah, just a couple of times, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, dude, I'm not far from you, so that's fine. But well done, buddy. Anyway, look forward to seeing you back next season.
Yeah, I think we've got some quickies coming in next season as well. I think Kim's back. I think we've got the Gullicksons, possibly. Might be Mike. Mike's slowly creeping back, isn't he? Even though he says I don't like it, but he keeps turning up, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's because he's in an 8, I think that is as well. Well done, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Let's give a shout out to everybody who's continued in the league, and I'm hoping we don't do races like this one so much now.
Oh, I like that. You love it, really.
I mean, I'm all right with it, but I'm thinking of, everybody else. Either somebody's stuck at the back or you trying to commentate on, what the colours are like in the sky. And
oh, yeah,
listen,
like dude, you've heard me waffle on enough. You know I can make this work. You know what I mean? Catch up with you soon, Simon. Take care, man.
Yeah. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much to Simon Edwards taking the time to speak to us, finishing second overall. And we'll take the opportunity to speak to Phil Glover, who ended that race in 5th position after a brilliant battle between the likes of Heinz Braun and Ollie Gullickson. Phil, good evening.
Good evening to you, sir.
How was it for you during the endurance event? Are your hands or arms tired after that?
My brain is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, not too bad. I made sure I turned the force feedback down. Of course, I'm in a motion rig though, and VR, so
Told you.
Yeah.
yeah, just challenge a little bit. But so I think I'd maybe come second in the championship. Is that right?
It will be in class, I think.
Yeah, we are waiting
Yeah, in
because
class.
you could drop this round, which really complicated things. So we are waiting for you. We think you finished second in class, so well done. But you are the one that's done the most races along with Simon Edwards. So you score points there, Phil.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm well proud of you because I think that's the highest I've ever seen you finish in. What have I been here now? 4 years? I think that's the highest I've ever seen you finish in a championship.
Well, I tend not to think about the class since we've been in class, and I kind of generally think about overall. But I'm probably about fifth or sixth overall, and we've had quite a lot of interest this year in this time round. So quite happy with that.
Yeah, I got you down fourth on the current Sim Hub standings. Listen, though, I've got a complaint, Phil.
Yeah.
I need you to get.
Tell me where we are next week.
I need you to get your elbows out. I'm not going to take you on holiday next week, mate.
Right. Well,
I'll
tell
get
you
your
why.
elbows out, son.
Yeah, but I let those two guys go in front of me because they were starting to pile on the pressure, and I didn't want any kind of I didn't want to damage my championship. So Heinz and
Ollie,
you the chap, yeah, Ollie. I mean, once or twice I was behind them and I just backed off because I thought I don't really want to pass them at this stage. And then going down the straight, my VR cut out for about 2 seconds, and it came back on again, and I was swerving. I hit something. I don't know what I hit, but fortunately, it kept going with about 2 or 3 laps to go. So I dropped back to about, I don't know, about 11 or 12 seconds behind those two guys. So,
you actually hit a wall, I think.
Did I?
I believe,
Right.
Hold on, let me have a look because I've got it here. Because I did say you crashed. Hold on. Where did you go?
I couldn't see anything. It just went totally off.
I think it was just when Phil
Went
locked
through
up
the
into
chicane,
terminal
didn't
when
it?
I was called. Yeah.
You hit a speed bump. Oh, there we go. That's what you hit, Phil.
What? I was flat out at the time. I know that. It wasn't round. I know later on I did hit a bit of the chicane bit, but yeah.
All right, mate. Well,
Anyway.
we need to let you go. Go and enjoy your week off, and we'll catch up with you soon. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Well, George, first of all, for promoting it, he's done a brilliant job of getting this all up and going and getting lots of people on the grids. That's great. Obviously, a big shout out to Simon, who's supported me all year with various coaching and setups and a bit of chibi on every now and again when I'm feeling a little bit low. So, yeah, and you guys, great to hear you, James. I thought you'd maybe retired into Monte Carlo or something like that now on the take-ins, but
No. Unfortunately, my lottery win ain't coming yet, Phil. So Monte Carlo's a long way from where I need to be. Let's just put it this way. But yeah, it's good to be back, mate. I've enjoyed myself. So I'll catch up with you soon, bud, and we'll see you next season.
You will indeed. Take care.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Thank you to Phil Glover for taking the time, and to our calculations, second in the SR10 Championship. But of course, the standings will update in due course. Should we get a word with George Gonzaga, who's now actually with us in the booth? George, good evening. Second tonight. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was really good. Good evening. And by the way, the points are updated. So
Yeah, I've got them. You're all right, George. I got you.
No, I literally just updated with the results. So yeah, I think Alex won on the 8s and Simon on the 10s. But yeah, it was an interesting race. Tried to stay with Simon, but yeah, I just made a mistake on the parabolic and kind of lost the draft, and then he started to push. I still tried to save fuel, but it was really complicated. And this track just heats up the tires so much, so the car gets really unstable. So it was really hard to find like a good setup for this. But it was interesting, something to change, a bit of scenery here, I guess.
And how have you found the first season of this one in 2026 in terms of setting everything up for this year? I think we've heard from Simon there's going to be a few either returning drivers or newbies for the second season of 2026. What do you know?
Well, yeah, so on the background, me and Simon kind of been trying to do a bit of recruitment. Obviously, on the beginning of this season, we invested a lot in social media, so we managed to fill the grid with decent numbers. Going to the next season, yes, we've been in contact with a couple of drivers, trying to get them to come back. Some of them. I think on the 10 we have a really competitive grid. I think on the 8 we could do a bit better, but we see now Jamie and Mike coming back, which is great news. So that makes a bit of a challenge. But yeah, we're really happy with the outcome of the season. We managed to get like close to 20 drivers. I think 18 was kind of the average that we got. So that's really positive considering that we were, what, 5 or 6 a few seasons ago.
It was a very hard time, George.
It was a very hard time.
I've been here for a while now, and that was a tough season coming in, and you're finding like 5 people on the grid. You're just like, no. But I do think, though, you've got to accept some of the praise, dude. You grabbed this league round the scruff of the neck and almost shouted at it that it will not die. And you've done a stellar job in doing that. Where can you go from here now? What are we going to come up with? Are we going to go back to a one-car series? Are we not going to go back? You go back to a one-car series, are you going to lose drivers like Busan, like Bird, who drive the 8? You know, where's the roadmap, should we say, for the Radical Race Series?
That's actually a really interesting question. Like, obviously, within the radical sim racing community, obviously, there's other leagues, yours included, of course. And so I think the focus from when I picked up the league is, okay, we need to put this league needs to be unique within the radical sim racing. So obviously we have a fixed series in terms of the 10, we have a fixed series in terms of the 8. So I think I'm really keen on keeping the concept of the battle of the radicals, because not only it broadens out the range in terms of drivers for both cars, but also the most important thing, and I know there was a lot of people trying to change. It's the concept of open setup as well. Because I think what this league is about, and I keep saying this to the guys, we are way more about community rather than competition. We're here to have fun. We're here to be immersed into sim racing, what sim racing is. So we wanted to get it as close to reality as well. And in reality, you adjust your car, you adjust your. So I think that some people don't like it, obviously, because they don't have time, and we completely understand. But we try to provide a platform of support for that. But I think that's kind of the key things that distinguish our league, and that I'm really keen on pushing forward, is obviously being a radical community regardless of car, and being an open setup, so the immersion is more intense, and you get the hardcore fans of sim racing, the realistic ones, the ones that try to pursue. So that's kind of like the target audience that we're going for.
Okay, mate. Well, going to be interesting to see where it goes next year. Anyone you want to shout out about before we let you go?
Well, obviously, to you guys, obviously, thank you, James, Tom, everyone. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the names of
Jim.
Jim.
There's been a lot of us this year, mate, I think.
I know.
Alex as well.
No, but obviously Jim's been helping a lot. Obviously, not trying to take credit to anyone else, but Jim was really supportive, but to James as well. It's been a partnership of many years, and we spoke today. I think he will carry on. So yeah, big thank you to you guys. A big thank you to the community. That's really, it's all for them in the end. To the new drivers that showed up, to all the drivers that contribute, so that we have a nice time on a Thursday evening. And a big shout out to Simon as well, obviously, with the technical work he does on the background in terms of the BOPs and does the calculations that I have no patience to do. So a big shout out to them. But yeah, I'm really happy and yeah, lots of love to everyone, and I'm really happy that we managed to hit the ground running, and we have a really nice and a nice community that we can support on.
Okay, Bob. Well, take care, and I'm sure we'll speak before the season starts.
Will do. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye.
George Gonzaga taking the time to speak to us after finishing his season in second place here at Monza. Well, after the 60 minutes of action we've been treated to, JP, a few swapperoos throughout that one, but the season is at an end, and the second season of 2026 is not too far away.
No, you're going to have to wait a couple of weeks, guys, for that one. Updates on the standings overall. Okay, so all of them together. Alexander Schutzker takes the victory. Simon Edwards second. Christian Schutzker third. Phil Glover got fourth. Heinz Braun jumped up 4 places at the end, finishes in fifth. Woodward, Vittorino, James Barry, Stefan Mellis in the top 9. Marcus Lang in 10th. Just missing out on the top 10 was Steve Webb. He missed out by 12 points. But overall, great racing. Looking forward to next season. Tom, wrap it up for the final time this season.
And so after 10 rounds, Alexander Schutzker came away with the SR8 victory, and Simon Edwards came out with on top in the SR10s, dominating that one once more. And we won't have too long to wait before the second season arrives. Do make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll do it all again soon. I am Tom Cairns with James Parfitt, and we'll speak to you again soon when the Radical Race series returns, and it's good night.